welcome to Fox Valley Today. I'm your host, Anne Vickery. Thank you very much for taking time to join us today. Joining me today as my guest is Deanna Roby. She is a 4-H leader and educator from the University of Illinois Extension Office out of Kendall and
DuPage and
Kane. I always want to leave out one of the. I know we're always in Kendall because that's where we are today.
Yep.
So, but anyway, Happy New Year, Deanna. I'm glad you could make it over.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too.
And I'm glad that you could make it. And this is always an exciting time, the first of the year for the 4-H kickoff, and we start talking about all the programs.
Yep.
And it's a little tougher maybe to keep all these kids busy and interested in the winter than it is maybe in the summer when they can be out, doing their gardening or taking care of their animals a little bit more, and the 4-H fairs and all that.
Right. We always encourage this is a good time to get started on your projects, especially over winter break, because they sign up for 4-H in September, October, somewhere in that time frame, and then they can get their project books and do some of that independent learning on their project work. So we always encourage, get started now. Don't wait till June until it's fair time to work on those projects.
We may have some listeners, and there's probably not very many listeners at this point who haven't heard of 4-H, but explain to maybe somebody out there, somebody that might be new to a community or to this area, why 4-H is important.
I think it's important just because it's an opportunity for young people to get out and do something in their community, learn some leadership skills, practice community service, feel a sense of belonging in a 4-H group, those types of things. And it's a good way to do some informal learning. It's not like schoolwork, although some people do say it's similar to that, but they can do some independent hands-on learning on their own.
Mm-hmm. And there's just so many different opportunities, but there's more to 4-H than the kids.
Right.
There's more to 4-H than gardening and animals, learning how to sew or a craft. It takes a very special and unique group of adults to be those leaders and teachers.
Yeah.
And tell us about some of the volunteer opportunities for adults.
So as you mentioned, volunteers really are the backbone of our program. Our staff is limited, so we really rely on volunteers and local communities to go out and do the work of working with young people in their communities. And so we have community club leaders, of course. They're the old fixture, I guess you could say. They've been around a long time. Community club leaders work in that local community with boys and girls in that age range and do the leadership and the citizenship and the community service type activities in their local clubs. And then we have fairly new, probably in the last 5 years or so, what we call spin clubs leaders, which are special interest leaders, and they focus more on a particular project. So one of our big ones right now, of course, is shooting sports, and so the volunteers that work with that are just focused on helping kids learn shooting sports, whether it's archery or air rifles or the outdoor skills, outdoor living skills, and so that's kind of what they're focused on. But you can do anything. I mean, if you have an interest in knitting and you want to teach young people how to knit, you can do it in as little as 6 sessions, an hour. If you like to work with young people, we'll help you kind of set up some guidelines as to what the lessons might look like, or if there's a project book that goes along with that, or if you like cooking and you want to share that knowledge with kids, or photography, or robotics, or 3D printing. It's really more focused on a specific project and helping kids learn that particular art or skill.
I'm interested in the fact that when you say the outdoor skills, and you mentioned shooting, whether it was archery or air guns, or as you say, outdoor, not survival skills, but hunting. But you have had to evolve, and part of evolving is maybe looking into some of these things that not everybody agrees with, but a lot of it is, it is sport.
Yep.
For many of us, we grew up thinking about guns as sport, not as a weapon.
No. Right.
Ever.
And that really, for our shooting sports volunteers, that really is the focus. It's the safety, the safety aspect, and teaching them the sport of hunting, not using a gun as a weapon.
As a weapon, yeah.
Right.
And you think to yourself, when did that all turn? I mean, it's not that we didn't always watch Cops and Robbers or the Cowboys and the Indians, where the Indians were fighting with arrows and we were fighting with bullets. But you have to ask yourself, where did it evolve all of a sudden that guns became such weapons of mass destruction, really, when you think of the thousands of people every year that are killed by guns? So did you get some support from the NRA to start teaching safety?
Yep, we did. NRA Foundation has supported us greatly. We, you know, our programs right now in this particular unit wouldn't be possible without them. So they have really strongly supported us. Cabela's, we just recently got a grant of equipment from Cabela's, is another one that supports us.
Oh, sure.
Local groups, you know, Knollwood Gun Club over there in Oswego, they've been very supportive of our efforts. The Kane County Fairgrounds, we do our archery program there. College of DuPage has their Homeland Security Training Center. We utilize those facilities for our air rifle programs. So we've had lots of great community support, and really we're using, I mean, we're doing shooting sports, but we like to say it's the vehicle that we use to do positive youth development, and that's helping kids feel a sense of belonging, develop some independence, get some project mastery, and then learn that art of giving back to their communities. And that's what we're using shooting sports as kind of the vehicle to do that positive youth development programming.
Yeah. Well, it's all part of our society right now, and you know, whether you're for it or against it, the opportunity there to learn a sport and to learn how to do it safely is there if you want to do it.
Absolutely.
Okay, we talked about some of the other things. Fair judges and super. Now, I've been asked different times to judge on some things for 4-H, and I've enjoyed it because you know, and doesn't take hardly any time at all. It's not that big of a deal, but you know, to listen to these kids sit down and present themselves after being in 4-H for years and talk about what 4-H meant to them, the skills they picked up, where it's going to take them from this moment on, and how they're going to utilize those skills. And I think every one of us have some kind of skill that you could help judge some of these kids.
And we're always looking for volunteer judges. You know, if you have, again, foods, woodworking, robotics are some of our projects, intercultural projects, learning about, you know, diversity and cultures and those types of things, natural resources projects, visual arts. You know, we like art teachers for that, so if there are any art teachers out there listening and want to help us this summer, we'd love to have those. But yes, it is such a great opportunity for our community to come in and talk to those 4-Hers one-on-one, and I really think that's one of the best skills that 4-H teaches young people, is that ability to do that one-on-one, what we call conference judging with an adult, sit down, talk about their project, tell them what they learned, what they might do differently if they were to do the project again, or in some cases, hey, I learned this is a project I really don't like, and I'm going to do something different next year.
And you know, I just have to say that, especially with some of the young women who come in, and they present themselves so well because they sit in a position that makes them look professional when they discuss. They sit quietly with their hands folded. In some cases they can be very animated, and even with the young men sit up straight. They always come with a tie or a really nice sport coat, and they're hair combed and ready to present their best selves for that particular 15 or 20 minutes that we're talking to them.
And some of them may be really shy when you first start talking to them, but as they get warmed up and talk about their project, you can see the passion they have for what they're doing. And so that's one of the great things I think with 4-H. And sometimes those little ones, they get really nervous that first year, and so we've got some orientation things that we help young people with, kind of walk them through what it might be like, those types of things. And really, again, it goes back to our volunteers. They're really helping prep those kids for that conference judging experience at the local club level too, because there's other kids then that can kind of help mentor those younger ones. Hey, this is what it's like when you go talk with the judge. So that's really the beauty of 4-H. It's really kind of like a family.
Yeah, it is. And I always, like, when I start my conversation with as a judge, what do people love to do most? They love to talk about themselves. And I always introduce that concept of what do you like? You know, how are you, what do you love to do in life? Or, you know, tell us about yourself. Little tiny bits of stuff, and they get rolling, you know, and they get very animated about that.
And it's fun if you come back year after year to kind of see where the kids start as 8-year-olds and where they end up when they get to high school age. That's always, for me, the most exciting thing, to see the growth and the progression.
It's like watching a growing child. Yes. It really is.
And I always think every summer when I see the kids again, oh my gosh, how much they've grown and how much you know, they've changed in the last year.
You know, tell us a little bit about the impact, the impact survey that DuPage, Kane, and Kendall, the youth that all proved out to be?
Yeah,
Because you did like, what, a survey, right?
We did a survey. We surveyed kids that were in local community clubs, and this was about, let's see, it's 2018 now, so 3 years ago. So we're getting due to try to do another one again. But we found that through 4-H, 95% of our 4-Hers felt like they could be comfortable making decisions. And so, learning to make a decision and that decision-making skill is a difficult sometimes for young people. 95% felt that they had a talent that they could share with others. And sometimes when we do workshops and stuff, we use our young people to teach workshops to other young people. And so not just local 4-Hers, but the local community. And so we use them to, share their talents with others. 89% had a plan for reaching their goals. They learn about goal setting and how to set goals, and so they have a plan for reaching those goals. And it may be something as complete 8 visual arts projects this year, or maybe get a summer job, or to get some extra money, those type of goals. But they can set goals, and they can establish a plan for reaching them. 88% have learned how to make a difference in their community, and so that's really, to me, a good one. They've learned how to give back to their community and look for things or needs in their local communities. And then 85%, and this is another one, again, going back to that, what I said is one of the best skills, feel confident speaking in front of others, and whether that's getting up and doing a presentation at a county board meeting, or in Springfield talking to local legislators about the impact of 4-H and what it means to them. They feel confident speaking in front of others.
Well, public speaking is a not a skill that comes easy for a lot of people.
Number one fear for most adults.
Right, and I think that that's not going to get an easier skill for people to develop, because I think right now, and I hate to say this, a lot of it comes down to this whole electronics business. The kids constantly are looking down. Even if you're talking to them, they're looking down. It's as if their brain is connecting here and has to connect. Their brains are firing so fast. I think, and I've also noticed the kids today have a hard time looking you in the eye when they're talking. Just look at me.
Yeah.
I might not be pleasant to look at, but we need, I might need to read your lips.
The eye contact.
That's right. But there's a disconnect here.
Yeah, and I think we find that sometimes in 4-H kids. I know leaders have commented, we always ask kids to check their phones at the desk, or check their phones at the table when they come in, or give it to mom or dad. And so we've had issues with that. But I do think that is one thing I feel confident in saying it's one of the best skills that we teach young people, is that ability to speak to others one-on-one, looking at them, and the ability to speak in front of others.
Talking about that, check their phones. I have a sign on my door when my grandkids. I gotta tell you the story though. It says check your phones in the basket before you come in. So there's a little basket as you walk in the garage. One day, they came around. They came in the other door, and I said, "What are you doing here? Why are you coming in this door, you guys? You know how to come in the house." And they just kind of grinned, and they came on in. Well, they all had their phones in their pocket. It was like, here, let's get one on
Now,
Grandma,
for my nieces, they're now 24 and 21. It is, if you get caught on the phone at the dinner table, you get to do dishes. So we've learned that they don't like to do dishes. So
well, nobody likes to do that, and it's just kind of weird. I mean, I think this is an issue that we're all caught up in.
Yeah.
And there has to be some kind of line, and I don't know how you change it.
I don't either. People are really connected to those cell phones anymore.
I've sat in rooms with adults who sit there, and as I'm discussing with them, they're looking at their phone.
Yeah, yep.
And I want to just reach across the table and slap them and say, am I that unimportant to you?
I think people are so good at multitasking anymore, although there's been recent research that shows that multitasking isn't such a good skill necessarily. So we'll see where that goes.
you want to talk about somebody becoming ADD, keep that up, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about the fact that you guys did that survey. Now you have some upcoming events coming up. So let's talk about that.
Well, we have our Cloverbud Workshop coming up here in Kendall County on February 17th. This year the theme is Illinois birds. So they're going to do activities, science and art related activities related to Illinois birds. And so they'll be learning about that. They'll make a themed snack related to birds, kind of like something similar to what birds might eat, and then they'll make some things related to that, and they'll learn about Illinois birds. But that Clover Buds is our program we have for 5 to 7-year-olds, and so it'll be specifically geared for them. They don't have to be in 4-H to participate in that.
So this is kind of a program to kind of get them interested as to why they might want to be.
Yep, absolutely. Registration opens today on our website, and it's $5 to attend. So
And you can't hardly beat that, but you know, grandpas, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors, if you're really interested in that child, and if you got the time, take them and see if it won't be something that maybe could give them an opportunity
and it's
to
just a
grow.
2-hour workshop, so it's not, you know, all day or any of those types of things, but I believe it's a Saturday. I'm sure it's a Saturday morning.
And it's just to show them what different things are out there.
Clover Buds is a little bit different. It's more like what we would call like a group play group, and so they do more team-focused things and learning together. So it's an opportunity to experience a little bit about what the 4-H program can offer.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, we got to take a little bit of a break. We'll be right back with University of Illinois educator Deanna Roby. Stick with us. We've got a lot more to talk about.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Your son wants to get a cat,
I'll really take care of him.
but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals
25.
Good job.
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back to Fox Valley Today. I'm here with Deanna Roby from the University of Illinois, 4-H educator. And we were just talking about your Clover Buds program that's kicking off February 17th.
Yep.
But we forgot to mention how people might want to register for that.
They can go to our website, and that's goillinois.edu/DKK, and that will take them right directly to the DuPage, Kane, and Kendall website, and they'll be...
Say that a lot slower.
It's go.illinois.edu, and Illinois is spelled out, and then you do a /DKK.
Which means DuPage,
Kane,
Kane,
and
and
Kendall.
Kendall.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I almost got that one down now.
I know it's taken 5 years of reorg, but everybody's getting it now.
You got your big bowl-a-thon coming up, too.
Kendall County, the 4-H Federation sponsors a community service activity each year. It's a bowl-a-thon, and they pick a local charity or a charity to give to. This year it's Meals on Wheels for Kendall County, and everything that the 4-Hers raise will be given to Meals on Wheels here in Kendall County. And so generally they raise anywhere between $2,000 and $3,000 for that opportunity.
Yeah, but that's a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
And with state budgets and the fact that there's been so many cutbacks, and that goes into our local Meals on Wheels program?
It goes into local Meals on Wheels.
That helps a lot.
4-H clubs go out and seek sponsors for their bowling, and then they generally have about 75 to 100 members that participate.
And where do you have that?
It's at the bowling alley in Sandwich, and they work with us and give us a good price on doing the bowling activity.
And that's an old bowling alley, but it's still, it's a fun place to go.
I think it's new owners this year, so
Yeah.
we're excited to work with them. Appreciate their commitment to the 4-H program
Right.
and working with us this year. But we seek local sponsors to help maybe sponsor some of the bowling or prizes for the kids that collect the most, donations and those types of things.
Yeah.
And just kind of give everybody a little gift to kind of go home and thank them for their time at this community service activity. But yes, this year it'll go to Meals on Wheels in Kendall County.
Yeah, well, good. That's good.
Yeah.
And you have one of the most popular programs coming up this spring, the embryology
Yep.
thing. Explain to people what that is.
So essentially they get fertile chicken eggs, and they have an incubator in the classroom, or if you have a homeschool situation or a daycare setting or a church preschool, but they hatch baby chicks in their facility. We, of course, we give them the fertile eggs, they pay for them, but we do a teacher training where we give them the skills to kind of understand what the science is behind it and what it takes to be successful. And then we get fertile eggs in April, and it's a 21-day incubation process. And so in 21 days, hopefully, they have baby chickens hatching at their local facility.
And that's a real commitment for the classroom
Absolutely.
teacher, or because they have to check the heat, make sure that heat lamp stays on. I mean, that kind of goes on.
The incubator has to be at a consistent temperature. We like to say 99.9 degrees, and so it has to stay that. And so, and then eggs have to be turned at least a minimum of 3 times a day. And so if you don't have an automatic egg turner, you're hand turning the eggs. And so that, again, is a commitment for teachers. And it's not just during the week. It's, on the weekends too,
Right.
especially when they're in that first phases of the first 17 days or so. They have to be turned on a regular basis.
But the little kids get so excited when those chicks start to hatch.
It's a great life science opportunity in classrooms, or like I said, in preschools. We have park districts that participate, homeschool groups. Anybody that's interested can participate. But we do require, just because we want to make sure that people understand the science of it, because it truly is a science project. We don't guarantee the hatch. We like to say a 50%. We encourage people to get 24 eggs, and so to put in an incubator. An incubator typically will hold about 3 to 4 dozen. We encourage them to get at least 24. 50% is considered a good hatch rate, and so if you get 12 out of those 24 to hatch, that's considered a good hatch rate, because it's a science, and so you just can't guarantee that those things are going to happen.
So where do you get the egg turner?
You can buy them. You could buy it at Rural King, I'm sure. They carry incubators. Or
About how much are
Farm
they?
and Fleet. I think that you can get a whole setup for a classroom, about $100 for the incubator and the egg turner.
That in a way, if you were a grade school teacher and this was something that and you could pass it around, you could have different classes have it different times of the year. I think that would be a wonderful investment.
Yeah, Farm and Fleet carries them. We also recommend, there's an online site, NASCO it's called, and they do all sorts of science
How
things.
many eggs does this hold?
It can hold anywhere from 3 to 4 dozen, depending on the incubator.
Yeah.
And we like to encourage them to get one that has, it's not the same as a commercial incubator or actually the hen sitting on the eggs. But we like to encourage them to get an incubator that has some, plastic or glass on the top, so you can kind of see the process.
Right. Yeah. Well, you can get plexiglass or
Yep.
something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like a fun
Yeah,
thing. And about how many eggs? How many thousands of eggs do you buy?
Last year, between the 3 counties, we ordered 410 dozen fertile eggs.
410 dozen.
Yeah,
fertile eggs.
we didn't have as good a hatch rate last year. We're trying to work with our supplier. This year we're going to use 2 different suppliers of fertile eggs. So we're trying to do some research on as to why perhaps we're not getting such a good hatch rate. But we're trying to work on those details.
What was your hatch rate?
It depended. Here in Kendall County, they had a 38%. In Kane, we had like a 32%, and DuPage had like a 24% hatch rate.
Oh,
So
well,
hatch
I
rate was
mean,
pretty low last year.
Yeah, and I mean, if you had a couple of dozen eggs, you know, but what do most schools do? Do they do like 24?
Most schools do 2 dozen, and this year we said we're not doing anything less than 2 dozen. We want you to order for sure 2 dozen.
Yeah.
That helps keep the heat consistent in the incubator
Right.
if you keep the eggs together. So lots of factors play into it. There's humidity, you know, there's got to be enough moisture in the incubator.
Right.
And you know, teachers aren't there 24 hours a day.
No.
Nobody's there to watch it 24
No.
hours a day. If you have a storm, you know, it comes during April, which is
Yeah.
prime time for thunderstorms. Electricity goes out, you don't know how long, or the temperature spikes. But it truly is a science project, and it's
Yeah.
a great learning opportunity for kids.
Well, you know, birth of anything is quite a science project when you get right down to it. Now, the registration is already open to do that, right?
Yeah, the registration's open.
When does it close?
January 31st. So this year we moved things up way early to allow our fertile egg suppliers plenty of time to get us fertile eggs. So
And then after you get the orders, then you have a teacher, kind of a training.
training for
time.
teachers. So teachers who have been through our training can just go ahead and order eggs. They don't need to worry about the training. But if you're new to the program, we encourage you to do the beginning teacher training, and that is actually going to be held in St. Charles on March 6th. And we do it in the evening, like 4:30 to 7:30. It's a 3-hour training program. Our poultry specialist from the University of Illinois campus comes up, and so he teaches the class. And then for teachers who have done the program for a few years, want a refresher, we do an advanced teacher training, and that will be held the very next day in our Naperville office on March 7th.
Okay. Well, that's another fun thing for that you do along with the schools, again, to do that involvement. Now, you got that big bridge bus contest coming up.
Well, actually, it was just last weekend.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was last weekend.
We
We
didn't
held
even
it
know about it.
at Cross Lutheran Church. We were a new venue this year, but Rural King still was great and worked with us and came and provided staff to help us. And then they also have the breaking tables. And so we had 24 teams participate this year in a variety of categories. We had youth teams, family teams, and then school teams. And
So who were your big winners?
most of our Kendall County teams are actually the big winners.
Is that right?
And some of the bridges, we judge the bridges on aesthetics, so basically how they look and how the design of the bridge is, and then we judge them on structural efficiency. So the braking part comes where we have a bucket that's attached to the bridge via some various things, and we pour sand, and then we weigh the bucket to see how much it weighs, and it's divided by the weight of the bridge, and that you can tell what the structural efficiency is. But some of the bridges held up to 45 pounds. This year.
You're kidding, and these are just made out of popsicle sticks.
I laugh. I tell Joanne Britton is our program coordinator that coordinates this contest, and I laugh because it's balsa wood is what they're made out of.
Right.
And you're right, it looks like popsicle sticks, and it's just absolutely amazing to me how much those bridges can hold. You know, and like you said, they look like popsicle sticks, and I just think every year, oh, they're not going to hold up that well. But like I said, one of the bridges held up 45 pounds worth of sand this year.
So, do you remember who the winners were?
I don't remember the exact
were they
winners.
families or were they?
One was a family. We had a family. They won both the aesthetics and the structural efficiency this year. So yes, it was one of our family winners.
Yeah.
We have winners in each category, so we pick first, second, and third place in each category. So that's kind of the nice thing.
Wow, that you know that is interesting when you think about that. Were there any repeat winners? Do you remember?
Yeah, the family that won this year was a repeat winner, and it's funny because the news release, I just proofread it the other day for Rosie. She said she watched they taped her bridge bust opportunity last year, so in 2017, and she watched it in slow motion so she could see where her bridge broke last year.
But was Rosie one of the participants?
No.
Oh.
But she was there with us helping with the media stuff. But the young girl and her dad that won this year, she repeatedly watched her video from last year in 2017 so she could see where her bridge broke the year before, and she made structural increases or improvements to the bridge this year. Same design or similar design, but made improvements to the bridge based on where it broke the year before.
Well, we might be able to use that girl, and she might be our next superintendent of highways at the county.
Absolutely.
Give her another, how old a gal is she?
Oh, I want to say 5th or 6th grade.
Really? Yeah. Well, give her 20 years.
Like I said, it's
it's
fun to watch the kids learn this. And actually, we have a guest speaker come out. It was one of our 4-H alum from DuPage County, and she is a engineer, a civil engineer, and she does a lot of the roadways in Northern Illinois, and so she talked to the kids before as well.
What a great idea.
Oh,
well,
it's fabulous.
okay. Well, it's time to close this show up, Deanna,
Great.
and we're glad that you could come over. Again, don't forget about the, if you want to get involved in the egg program or you want to get involved in the clover buds, of course, give them the website again.
go.illinois.edu/DKK.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to Deanna and for all the good work you do with our young people. We're just very appreciative. We'll see you next time on Fox Valley Today.